Imagine a tale in which the origins of mermaids lie not in the water, but in an ancient secret story of fallen angels and their adored brides. Consider a time when heavenly entities shared holy information with women, creating lineages of enchantment, sorcery, and legends. What will become of these women after their celestial unions? Enoch tells the story of how these spouses became sirens, beautiful yet dangerous. However, sirens were not always the charming mermaid-like figures we know today. Indeed, these narratives begin with subtleties and secrets that many cannot comprehend. Once, they were portrayed as alluring bird women who enticed sailors to their demise and led ships to perilous locations. Let's consider how these beautiful sirens became our favorite mermaids. This adventure has been mysterious and alluring. Could the fallen angels' wives' tales reveal the truth behind one of the most famous myths? We will explore old myths about sirens, mermaids, and the ignored wives of fallen angels in this video. Prepare to be amazed by the reality you never imagined. A mysterious tale of fallen angel spouses existed once upon a time. This story has captivated people for centuries, weaving mystery, mythology, and spiritual truths. These earthly ladies were believed to have received divine wisdom, an ancient force that shaped humankind. What happened after this angelic enlightenment is one of the most intriguing mysteries in sacred books and ancient history. The Book of Enoch chose unusual women to join the fallen angels, celestial creatures who had disobeyed God. Giants, mighty figures revered as heroes, were born from the celestial creatures and these women. The results of these unions were not divine. As the angels suffered for their rebellion, the ladies were caught in a weird and confusing fate. Enoch vividly depicts how these ladies become sirens. This extraordinary shift may have inspired the lovely mermaid story, which has threaded its way across civilizations worldwide for generations. The path from humans to these remarkable beings is not easy. Similar to fairy tale mermaids, these sirens captivated sailors, leading them to their inevitable demise. However, this legend reveals that Greek sirens were ethereal, bird-like entities with haunting voices, not beguiling sea dwellers. They would congregate around ships and sing enticing melodies that lured sailors to dangerous rocky shores, dooming them. If the spouses of the fallen angels become sirens, they may resemble birds with feathers and wings. Deeper examination of the tales reveals a significant mystery. These ladies may not have been the terrible bird women of old traditions after their transition, but something quite different. They may have become melodious beings of the vast ocean, fascinating creatures of the sea with allure and songs as deadly as the sirens, but with a unique, irresistible beauty. Women being alluring and dangerous prompts a deeper exploration of their role in enchantment and the arcane. Were these women punished for marrying celestial beings or given superpowers? How did their shift affect future generations? Could these women's old wisdom have influenced witchcraft and magic throughout history? Our understanding of their fate deepens as we follow the story. In ancient myths, the wives of fallen angels became the first witches, birthing powerful beings and establishing powerful magical lineages that would last. These bloodlines would alter human history by producing future generations who could use the same supernatural powers as their celestial partners. What legacy did these exceptional women leave? And how did their divine insights shape ancient and modern mythologies? This intriguing tale of divine enigmas, change, and new powers reminds us that the most deep mysteries are frequently found in the questions that linger and echo through time. In ancient myths, the spouses of fallen angels are enchanted and mysterious. Their mysterious history continues to fascinate and inspire those who seek to understand the heavenly powers that shaped our world. In ancient stories, the spouses of fallen celestial beings are mysterious and sad, caught in a web of enchantment, punishment, and change. The Book of Enoch describes extraordinary women. Celestial beings, the sons of God, chose them to have these fallen angels' offspring. In ancient times, great champions of ancient legends walked among us children, casting a shadow that touched the Almighty's heart, making him grieve the creation of humanity. What happened to these women, who were formerly blessed or cursed with such mysteries? The curiosity grows as we learn more about the relationship between these wives of fallen angels and the sirens, alluring beings of legend whose name evokes danger, seduction, and tragedy. In sacred traditions, the title sirens is not directly assigned to these ladies, but early Christian thought, particularly the early church's doctrines, often linked them to the sirens. Sirens, seductive entities, could seduce mariners with their melodies in ancient myths. With honey-sweet sounds, they enticed these seamen into danger, directing their vessels to sharp rocks where many died. The idea that these ladies, once human, became radiant but doomed is intriguing. Their transformation into sirens shows that their coupling with the fallen angels had lasting effects. These women became powerful icons of seduction and temptation, balancing divine beauty and deadly allure. A plot twist links the fallen angels' wives to the alluring sirens. Ancient sirens, creatures of song, were represented as birds rather than sea creatures. In Greek mythology, sirens were beautiful birds and women who glided above the ocean waves. Their seductive calls drew mariners to dangerous lands where many died. In remote islands isolated from the bustling world, their tunes were their only power. As we read about the wives of the fallen angels, we see that they were not part birds. A siren would have looked like birds, not mermaids, challenging the idea that they are the same. What if these fallen angel spouses transformed into singing birds of the deep, their melodic melodies echoing across huge oceans instead of craggy islands? This artwork vividly depicts their human beginnings and sad fall from grace. They may have become otherworldly creatures with enchanting and sorrowful beauty, like mermaids, but with the poignant essence of those who once walked the land, forever changed by their entanglement with the sacred mysteries of the celestial beings. In ancient myths, the sirens signified more than beauty. They symbolized seduction, hidden truths, and the grave consequences of upsetting the status quo. Consider the spouses of fallen angels, whose partnerships with celestial beings may have violated divine order. In this view, the sirens' transformation reflects their own fall from favor, making them mournful beings whose attractiveness was both a blessing and a burden. According to one siren tale, the wives of the fallen angels did not disappear or become harmless sea creatures. Instead, they became the center of a vast story about forbidden knowledge and the grave consequences of messing with unknowable forces. The siren's narrative is more than a fairy tale about captivating beings. It's a cautionary tale about the allure and danger of knowledge and the cost of going beyond the intended limits. Genesis 6:1-4 is a mysterious story that has fascinated scholars, theologians, and mythologists for centuries. In this story, divine entities choose human spouses, setting in motion a series of events that would forever change history and create the Nephilim, giants. This occurrence is significant because it prepares the earth for a big flood. Daughters were born to males, when the planet was full of people. In ancient times, the sons of God saw these daughters' beauty and were deeply attracted to them, taking them as brides. Many scholars have debated the concept of sons of God. Some interpretations propose that these sons were angels who descended from grace and transformed into humans. However, some believe they were descendants of Seth, Adam's upright son. However, the idea of celestial entities communicating with humans has attracted many, especially in ancient works like the Book of Enoch, which describes heavenly messengers coming to earth to teach secret wisdom. The results of this combination were tremendous. The sacred books describe these couples' children as giants with superhuman strength and skills. These mighty men of renown were champions and wanderers. People celebrated their power, but their presence also fostered corruption and strife, leading to a moral decline in humanity. According to Genesis 6:5, the Lord observed the immense wickedness of humanity upon the earth, and that every thought and imagination of their hearts was perpetually inclined toward evil. As he pondered the creation of humanity, corruption spread across the world, saddening the Almighty. The Creator observed the planet in deep degradation during a time of immense wickedness. He reluctantly decided to cleanse the world and save just Noah and his family from the flood. Indeed, the flood was a divine cleansing that cleansed humanity and the unnatural beings produced from the union of the heavenly and the earthly of their depravity. Widespread corruption led to a serious decision to purge the world of all living creatures, including humans and beasts. Despite this dismal decree, hope emerged. The biblical narrative says, Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. He was a just and virtuous man who illuminated righteousness in a fallen world. Noah protected himself and his family by following the divine command to build the ark, establishing himself as the progenitor of the new human lineage after the floodwaters receded. This Genesis story sets the stage for the epic flood story and suggests the mystical threads in the ancient writings. A long time ago, God's sons and men's daughters created the powerful Nephilim. This story warns against crossing boundaries, flesh, spirit, or God's sacred commandments. This story illustrates the fragility of human existence and the severe consequences of deviating from God's plan for creation. It highlights the importance of righteousness, as Noah kept his faith in a corrupt world. Thus, Genesis 6 is more than a story about giants and divine retribution. It explores the serious consequences of choices, the relationship between the supernatural and humanity, and the unwavering pursuit of divine justice in a world that had strayed. Its questions about celestial beings, gigantic giants, and wickedness continue to captivate and inspire theological and philosophical thought. In ancient times, sirens were mythical spirits whose songs could change the fates of all who heard them. In mythology, the sirens are part woman, part bird, with enticing voices that entice sailors to their fate. Beauty and music were gifts, but they were powerful instruments. A siren's music enchanted sailors, preventing them from fleeing. Lo, their ships would deviate off the course, unaware that their voyage was dangerous. The siren's music haunted people, calling them to a dangerous fate and early death. The Sirens' Island's terrifying rocks claim any vessel that approaches. They break ships, plunging courageous sailors into despair and tragedy. These mythical ladies were more than symbols of temptation. They represented devastation, showing the dangers of unrestrained desire and ignoring nature's warnings. Sirens' singing was said to seduce even the most staunch spirits. The gentle songs would seduce mariners with whispers of love, adventurous adventures, or buried treasures. The melody would change and get more unpleasant as the sailors approached. It seemed like the sirens' alluring voices enchanted the sailors, enticing them with longing and trapping them. The sirens' appeal and power are revealed in Odysseus's story. While sailing, Odysseus and his heroic crew approach the Sirens' Island, where their seductive music captivates everyone who listens. Odysseus heeds the warning and orders his men to plug their ears with beeswax to block the sirens' melodies. Odysseus gets captivated by the sirens' melodies during a thrilling moment. However, he is expertly fastened to his ship's mast, preventing him from leading it toward their seductive call. This moment shows the danger of the sirens' enchantment. The melody was beautiful, but treacherous. It might ignite men's passions and drive them insane. The sirens were beautiful, yet their frightening essence disturbed their viewers. They were superficially appealing, not meant to comfort. Greek mythology depicts flying beings with women's faces or beguiling women with bird legs. They were intriguing, partially feminine, partly monstrous, charming, and dangerous. They had a bird-like form and a connection to nature, but their essence was strange. They came from a realm beyond human comprehension. Their attraction and danger make them everlasting symbols of desire and disaster. Let's not overlook the siren myth's darker side. Some versions of the story show that sirens were not always evil. A divine decree transformed beautiful maidens into these winged beings many years ago. Some stories depict them as fascinating beings who either betrayed the divine or failed their sacred duty. In legend, they became sirens for failing to save Persephone from Hades. This alteration made love and companionship eternally out of reach. The thrill of their tunes has faded to the agony of loss and betrayal. Our myths and traditions incorporate sirens, despite their terrifying nature. They are both seductive and destructive, constantly balancing between beauty and peril. Their story continues to attract and intrigue us, reminding us of the delicate balance between desire and peril and the consequences of temptation. Sirens are seductive and enigmatic in ancient Greek mythology, weaving their magic through Mediterranean tales. Ancient myths depicted fascinating entities, a hybrid of a woman and a bird, whose hypnotic melodies drew seafarers to their fate. They were sometimes represented as ethereal birds with the graceful heads of women, majestic wings, and deadly talon-like claws, ready to grab any ship or sailor who came too close. The sirens' alluring melodies lured seafarers to a world beyond their wildest fantasies, but they instead led them to perilous waters and shipwrecks on their jagged cliffs. The sirens' enticing melodies were their greatest power, echoing throughout the oceans. According to legend, the sirens live on a lonely island called Anthemoessa, or a similar name with hazardous coastlines. Historically, sailors who sailed near the sirens were enchanted by their music. These lovely, enticing songs could steer a ship toward dangerous rocks and disaster. This deadly mix of allure and danger made the sirens the perfect temptation-related dangers. They imparted moral lessons about the perils of seemingly irresistible temptations. The Odyssey's narrative of Odysseus and the sirens stands out among others told throughout history. A grave warning about the sirens' charm and danger rings as Odysseus and his courageous crew travel the dangerous waters near their island. Odysseus, the wise captain, orders his devoted crew to plug their ears with beeswax to block the beautiful tunes. However, driven by curiosity, he shackles himself to the ship's mast to hear the siren's song without falling prey to its danger. When they approach the island, the sirens' melodic voices promise to reveal life's deepest mysteries. Odysseus, seeking wisdom, asks for his freedom, but his crew, blind to the allure, continues their quest, narrowly escaping the trap. This story depicts the sirens' beauty, peril, longing, and devastation. Their murmurs offer insight, allure, and craving satisfaction, yet they lead to death. The sirens symbolize the seduction of earthly pleasures that detract from life's true meaning in this story. They vividly demonstrate the temptations that derail people's goals, principles, or existence. As time passed, the sirens' representation changed in art and culture. Sirens were once depicted as birds with women's heads, enticing those who saw them. These people embodied the wild, terrible spirits of the untamed land, living outside human society. As time passed and the sirens became part of Western culture, their representation changed. Sirens and mermaids became linked in medieval times. Once, the beautiful birds became fish with exquisite tails. Thus, the sirens became seductive aquatic beings, still enticing and perilous, but forever attached to the sea rather than the sky. This unique blend shows how Christian and medieval European customs influenced the siren story. Watch the story of sirens, beguiling beings whose beauty entices but hides danger. This classic story reveals the battle between yearning and its eventual consequences. The sirens, whether bird women or fish women, are eternal images of enticement who teach us that beauty can hide danger and that not all calls are good. Their tale captivates listeners as it shows how legends change throughout time to reflect each generation's values and beliefs. The siren, not only a myth, is a strong symbol that speaks to our own existence. She calls, reminding us of the dangers of pursuing desire without considering the consequences. Christianity changed how we saw ancient mythology, especially the sirens who enchanted mariners with their singing in the 4th century. When paganism gave way to Christianity, the enchanting and hazardous sirens, who had long fascinated ancient Greece, began to take on more importance. The devout warned against worldly temptations, and sirens became emblems of immorality. Saint Jerome, who translated the sacred books into Latin, helped change these ancient traditions in early Christianity. After finding mentions of sirens in sacred texts, he translated Hebrew terms like tan and jackals into Latin sirens. This translation helped connect Greek lore's alluring, perilous beings with a deeper Christian understanding of worldly temptations that lead souls astray. Sirens, formerly lovely aquatic animals, now represent vanity, passion, and the dangers of indulgence. The alteration went beyond Saint Jerome's translation. In the 4th century, Christian writers like Ambrose explored the sirens as a strong image of sin's temptation. Sirens became wise symbols, warning the devout of the dangers of earthly temptations. They were seductive, enchanting figures whose beautiful voices embodied temptation, luring men into destruction through indulgence and yearning. As Christ's teachings spread, these fanciful figures wove themselves into the Christian narrative of sin and good. In early Christian thought, intelligent minds saw connections between the seductive sirens and the enticing figures in sacred scriptures, such as those who tempted humanity in Eden. The sirens' singing once enchanted and charmed many. These tunes become alluring cries, leading souls away from righteousness and into damnation as the story continues. In this story, the siren's warning of sailors' fate became a powerful message about the spiritual dangers of temptation. The image of sirens changed over time, blending ancient Greek legends with new stories influenced by Christian thinking. Once, artists and storytellers represented sirens as birds with melodic melodies. As time moved like a smooth stream, artists and storytellers combined these fascinating beings with mermaids to create a new vision that captured many hearts. In legends, sirens became alluring sea creatures as quills danced across parchment and artists' brushes swept across canvases. With fishtails replacing their bird limbs, they possessed a haunting beauty and danger that drew many to their demise. This change in depiction showed that temptation can be both alluring and dangerous. Christian theology gives the siren story fresh life, showing how stories adapt and change with changing ideas and customs. What was formerly a symbol of nature's wild and unpredictable powers became a strong symbol of people's inner spiritual struggles in a Christian world. Once a symbol of freedom and enticement, the siren became a symbol of sin's temptation, warning those who deviate from virtue. This siren change shows how legends endure, evolving to each generation's hopes and fears. The siren of ancient history was changed into a symbol of temptation in Christian lore, but her enchanting presence continues to captivate our hearts and warn us of the enticing dangers buried in our longings. Sirens, originally beautiful bird-like entities, have become loving mermaids. This story blends mythology and art together to show their transformation. The sirens, a mix of bird and woman, symbolized seduction and the ocean's mysteries in ancient myths. With tunes as seductive as the stars above, they lured mariners to the cliffs where fate awaited. This powerful visual tells the story of the perilous water and warns against the moral perils of temptation and longing. See the beautiful sirens. They are alluring and dangerous, with their graceful heads and torsos resembling ladies, and their wings and claws resembling birds' lower bodies. As time passed and societies developed, so did our understanding of these legendary characters. In medieval times, the alluring sirens, initially birds, began to resemble sea creatures. The magnificent fabric of mythology and eclectic cultural strands from Roman, Byzantine, and Christian traditions impacted this transition. Siren portrayals have evolved greatly throughout art. From charming bird-woman hybrids in ancient bestiaries, these figurines evolved. Mermaids, intriguing figures with the graceful upper body of a woman and the enticing lower body of a fish, told the story of change and adaptation across time. Sirens and the seductive mermaid myth are slowly woven into ancient narratives from the Phoenicians, Greeks, and Mesopotamians. Mermaids, mythical sea spirits, represent both allure and danger beneath the ocean's glittering surface. The medieval bestiaries depicted sirens as beautiful mermaids with fishtails instead of bird legs. This new picture revealed their connection to the water and their unique ability to captivate mariners with their beauty and music, possibly from the ocean's depths rather than distant islands. Sirens, originally bird-like beings, are now beautiful mermaids. This change reflects medieval and early modern views of women, desire, and temptation. As Christianity swept across Europe, the sirens became strong symbols of temptation, representing the dangers of giving in to earthly pleasures. Their metamorphosis from bird women to mermaids shows society's growing interest in sin and sexuality. Mermaids, like sirens, were emblems of seduction with their dazzling beauty and enticing melodies, laced with the enigmatic appeal of the ocean's depths, a mysterious and deadly domain. As the story progressed, the sirens became beautiful mermaids with human-like features. Over time, they developed a woman's upper torso, flowing golden locks, and noble beauty. These changes in appearance made them more enchantress-like. The comb and mirror, often seen in mermaid tales, symbolized vanity and self-obsession. This emphasizes that their beauty was both their greatest asset and their greatest weakness. Watch the bird-like siren effortlessly change into the beautiful mermaid we know. This work represents a cultural transition, not just an artistic one. Over time, the terrible bird women who lured mariners to their doom became seductive figures of beauty, mystery, and danger. This transition created a deeper tapestry of tales that combined the mermaid's essence with yearning, grief, and the elusive, perhaps a more lasting, although equally treacherous attraction. The siren's transformation into the mermaid shows how tales change to mirror each generation's hopes and dreams. There was a mythical bird woman called the Siren. She became a radiant beauty who captivated hearts, yet was shrouded in mystery and danger. Our hearts are still enchanted by this metamorphosis. These mysterious monsters appear in innumerable stories, films, and folklore, each with a new twist, but always retaining their power to capture and, in some cases, destroy. As I reflect on our intriguing voyage, I am moved by how stories, historical accounts, and spiritual tales weave together. A story about the fallen angels and their spouses inspired serious thoughts on humanity, our relationship with the supernatural, and the stories we create to explain our existence. It's fascinating to consider how sirens, formerly frightening bird-like beings, became mermaids, embodiments of magic, risk, and ambiguity. What does this change reveal about our society and how we adapt our narratives? The lesson that these tales, albeit charming and ingrained in our awareness, often hide more than they reveal, shines through. They expose our worries, temptations, and the many ways we try to understand the mysteries of life. It was said that fallen angels turned their spouses into sirens. This tale invites us to dive further into the stories we encounter, whether old or new, and consider their origins, value, and relevance to our lives. This teaches us what? It's important to reflect on our stories and seek their meaning. This should be a subtle reminder to meditate and evaluate our perception of the world, not only in stories, but in all we do. Explore these concepts, explore ancient wisdom, question our thinking, and have deep conversations with your community. Who knows what enormous truths or divine revelations sit beneath the surface waiting to be revealed? We should foster wonder